The day's upon us. I've got a lot to do today. It's all gonna start with making some bread. In order to make my own bread from scratch, I mill my own grain, I make my own flour, and form a dough that I let rise for a couple hours. So while I do wanna hit the gym really bad, I'm gonna start off with this so my dough can rise while I'm getting it pumped. Got our grain. Fresh off the farm, like literally, this is where they get it from. You can't really make bread more naturally and more organically than this. And I'm not the type of person in general that's like, oh, if it's not organic, it's poison or super bad for you. There are just certain things that when you make them from scratch or do them yourself, it makes such a big difference in your life, and making bread from scratch is one of them. We've got 5 cups of flour here. We're gonna combine this with our wet ingredients to make a dough. I know it seems like a complex process of like, what do you mean you're milling your own grain? What are you, a trad wife? And the answer is yeah, I am a little bit of one. There's certain things that are just better done on your own and that taste better, and you'll see the result for yourself. Bit of a blooper reel there. All right, here we go. We've got our dough. It's nice and ready to sit and let rise for probably a couple hours. We're gonna go hit back, actually at my apartment gym, so just down the elevator to make things really easy, and let this dough rise in the meantime. If I wanna run through a brick wall, I'm probably gonna rip pre-elite, but I've already had like half of an energy drink this morning just to get me going, so I'm gonna have pre-sport. That's gonna get me covered. The only other supplements I'm taking, I take these right before every single workout, is creatine and L-citrulline, which helps with pumps. Gives you juicier pump. Who doesn't want that? So today's back day. Back, I find, like a lot of other muscle groups, it's so important to focus on controlling the motion. You can really rip your way through like a lot of different back exercises, whether that's like quick rolling a barbell up, or doing these with really sloppy form and just trying to yank it to get the weight. Because you're pulling something when you're doing back day, like pretty much any back motion is you pulling. It's very easy to cheat on that motion by throwing your body into it to kind of use momentum to yank it. And you don't want to do that. With anything on back, I'm gonna maybe drop the weight 10% below what people might think I lift, just so that I can make sure that every rep, rather than being like this, is slow and controlled. What I focus on is, I don't just want to see that my muscles are working, I want to feel them. So I'm going to squeeze at the end of each rep here, squeezing my back muscles as tight as I can. It's not that the squeeze intrinsically is what makes your back grow. It's the squeeze means you're focusing on it. And when you're focusing on it, you're way less likely to screw up other parts of your form. so important to remember. The time between gym time and work time, or whatever's left after that, is a transitionary period. And it's something you have to exert a lot of control over. There's like this meme or stereotype of people like, you know, you finish hitting the gym, you're exhausted, and you go over and you just like lay down on the ground, you lose 2 hours of time. It's like, what do I do? And I think a lot of productivity gets lost in there. Like on a very serious note, you lose a lot of time if you don't control the transition really well. So rather than just, you know, walking back to my apartment, laying down, letting an hour pass, scrolling on TikTok, whatever else, I'm at least gonna redeem this time and absorb what happened. I think it's really good to meditate every single day, and whether you're doing that early in the morning, you know, before you go to bed, right before you work out, or in my case, I tend to do it afterward, it gives you time to concentrate and focus on what's next. And even though it feels like, okay, well, I just want to jump into my next task, I just want to leap into it and get after it, you'll actually end up saving a lot of time by just taking a good 10 to 15, and sitting down, whether that's in the sun, whether that's anywhere relaxing, focusing and concentrating on what comes next, as well as just processing and concentrating on your lift. I'll spend this time in the sun, beyond just tanning a little, I'll think, all right, you know, did I give it my all? What could I have done better on? What exercises am I weak on? How does my body feel? And those are really personal questions. They're things that you have to answer yourself. But taking a window of time to ask them, answer them, and process them will actually end up saving you a lot of time throughout your day and make the transition from lifting, grinding, or whatever else you're doing a lot easier. It also just feels good to lay down in the sun and get a tan after you've really, really exerted yourself. Great way to relax. This is olive oil. We're just oiling up the bread pan so that it doesn't stick when it comes out of the oven. Same like greasing any other pan. Do the same with your bread. Paper towel application and make sure it all gets worked in. Smells tremendous here. We're dividing up our loaf into 2 pieces. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our ball of loaf. We're gonna put it there. We'll do the same with this one. Some people are really big believers in like kneading the dough again after you take it out. You can. It doesn't make a huge difference, but it's all going to the same place. So I'm gonna just press it down into the pan. So we've got our 2 loaves of bread here. We're gonna put them in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, and our bread will be ready to go. Let's do it. Doing something a bit unconventional today. I normally work out once. Today we're doubling that and doing it twice. I hit back this morning. I've had about anywhere from like 8 to 10 hours to rest. I've been giving myself enough food. I'm not working out twice a day because I want to be a hardo, or I want to be like, this is the most optimal thing for you to do. It's because tomorrow my schedule's screwed. I've got a lot going on. I have a bunch of recipes to make in the morning. I have evening obligations, and I don't want to shortchange a workout or risk missing something. So today's a double header. We hit back in the morning, we hit chest. Right now in the evening, so let's get after it. Start out with a simple warm-up set, 135 on bench. We'll hit this for a good number of reps.
How you feeling after 2 workouts today?
Exhausted. It comes down to your mental game when you're here, which is why I chose a gym where pretty much no one else here. It's empty. Allows me to focus a little bit more. I can play the music that I want. I don't have any distractions, and I can really focus before each set. But a lot of times the difference between a good workout and a bad workout, as like cliche as it sounds, is mindset. It's how you're thinking about it. It's how you're approaching it. And when you really, really want to make the most of a workout, your body finds a way. And that's what we're doing today. So my working set is 2 plates. That's 225. We got that for about 8 reps. Not terrible. And what I do is a style of training called reverse pyramidal training, which is where you hit your heaviest set first, and then over the course of your sets, you decrease the weight and you increase the reps. And the thinking is, you have probably the most to give in your muscles when you're just beginning the set. So my first set, I'll hit 225, I did 8 reps. Then we'll decrease that weight by about, your numbers are up to you. I like to decrease 20 pounds, so 10 off each side, one plate off, and then do that again on the next set. So we're gonna hit 185. There's more than 185 on there. There's 205. There's an extra 10. Yeah, I did have my math right. So it's 20 pounds off. So 225 goes to 205, and then you go down to 185, which is the equivalent of 2 plates, goes down to 1 plate, a 25 and a 10. And then for the third set, you just take off the 10 and you're left. If you really want to burn out, you take off the 25 and push yourself. I've already done a couple of warm-up sets, 30 reps on 1 plate, 25 reps on 1 plate. So I'm gonna stick with these 3, basically 5 sets if you include those. But I'm gonna stick with 3 really heavy working sets and see how we feel.
How many reps are we going for?
This one at least 10. On a working set, if I'm doing reverse pyramidal, I'm gonna go for like 225 for 8 to 10, yeah, then 205 for 10 to 12, and then 185 like this, 12 to 14. There's a range there. You're getting as many as you can, and it's nice to be able to know, like, all right, today's a good day. I got 12 instead of the 11, or 12 instead of the 10 that I normally get. Always keep track.
All right, what are we up to now?
Dumbbells. My preference though is always to move from barbell to dumbbells. For some reason that's always worked best for me and my body. Can't preach to it, but something about it feels right. You focus a little bit more on the control, you know, more of the raw power when you're starting out. You have so much to give, and then you move to dumbbells. So here that happens to be dumbbell incline, which is more of a workout for the shoulder, but that's okay. My shoulders are really strong, or genetically something that I have more to give on. So I'm gonna test them, take them to their limits. Come on now, come on. Yep.
So why are we doing incline over flat?
2 reasons. One, because I started on flat, I wanted to see what I could give on the barbell, which I think generally just feels more intensive than dumbbells for some reason. Doing heavier weight, you know, these are not 112.5 dumbbells, which would be the equivalent of doing 225. They're 80 pound and 70 pounds. So knowing in advance that my dumbbells are lighter weight, probably not gonna start out with them because I'm not really testing the limits of my strength on a heavier exercise like flat. So yeah, we already hit flat. We wanna move to incline because we wanna work different areas of the chest. Incline is gonna work more of the shoulder and predominantly the upper chest. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, not as much as I wanted. You can kind of expect your strength to be less than what you want on a day where you've worked out twice, and that's okay. You can get frustrated with yourself. You can get mad, leave your workout with a bad attitude and be like, oh, I'm weak. Or you can just go, you know what? My body's having a day like that. And by the way, this is not just limited to workouts twice a day, which is not usually the reason why people lose strength. It's not usually the problem. It could be anything. You might have had a really stressful day. You might be going through a breakup. You might have had like a fight with your mom. Whatever it is, If it's something mental, if it's something that draws energy out of you, it can be hard to re-exert a ton of energy back into the gym because you have less to give. And I'm sharing these examples with you because I want you to know that like, that's okay. That's part of the journey of lifting. You know, I look probably like a little bigger now than I do normally, maybe, but I look kind of similar over time just with like minor upgrades. But my strength doesn't look like that. If you look at the metrics of how I lift, you'll have some days where I'm like, I've hit 300 like on a bench press before. Then I'll show up the next day or the next chest workout and I might hit 240 or I might hit 225. And that's all I have to give that day. And you can be like, well, why is that? Is it sleep? Is it eating? It's probably yes. It's probably all of those things plus a little more. But I think the thing that separates someone that's really successful in the gym over the long haul is just an understanding of that. It's an awareness of how your body works, when it has less energy and when it has more. And all of it, this is all of it, has to be rooted in like some deep sense of self-love and self-compassion of like, you know what, not my best day in the gym. I've had days where I walk in, I do 2 sets, and I leave because I'm not feeling it. And that's it, that's part of the process. I wouldn't look like this. I wouldn't have gotten to where I got in the gym if I gave up on myself or I talked down to myself after a weak workout. Not that this is a particularly weak one, I hope. I'm still lifting something for being on my second lift, but if I could take a moment just to acknowledge that you're always gonna have your own limitations, and they're gonna yo-yo, they're gonna be different, and they're not gonna be linear. It's a good reminder to have. All right, let's hit this. Final set. Plates are numbered 1 through 16. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what the weight corresponds to. We're gonna find out real fast whether or not it's doable. I can already tell that that weight's getting too heavy because my form is starting to break down. That's okay. Sometimes you run a set and your form will break down, you'll notice it. You do the reps you can. You don't worry too much about counting. And you decrease the weight, you can get some cleaner reps. It's all just micro corrections. Trying to have that pumpkin chest, you know? Just in time for the holidays, just in time for the fall. I want 2 pumpkins right here.